Chapter 9. Failure. As their battle rages on, Peril struggles to gain an advantage over the GX-enhanced mercenary team leader, granted psychic abilities to the GX parasite. Peril's enhancements upon mutation are not as great as most others. Before he was able to use the GX parasite to boost his own base abilities, but accomplishing such a thing a second time is unlikely. Bulldog's first stage mutation has him overwhelming the youth, but he still lacks Peril's speed and cannot seem to deliver a killing blow. Peril brings his fingers up to his temples to attempt the psychic halt attack, but Bulldog refuses to ease up and give him a chance, and forces him to keep moving. Peril becomes increasingly frustrated, unable to mount an attack. I've seen his handiwork before, Bulldog thinks. I can't let him have the time to concentrate and focus his energy through his mind. I can't survive my head being popped like a grape no matter how much stronger than him I am. Bulldog strikes Peril across the face and grabs the youth by the ankle, swinging him around into a brick wall. The youth shouts out in pain. Bulldog rains fists down on Peril and kicks him in the chest. Peril crashes through a glass window and skids across the hospital's lobby floor. Peril coughs, slowly struggling to his feet. His body is littered with thin cuts that drip blood to the floor. Is that the best you can do? Bulldog laughs. Still talking trash? You are unbelievable, kid. Maybe you're just delusional. I'm not really sure at this point. Peril darts at Bulldog with a punch, but the older fighter sidesteps and drives a knee into his opponent's gut. Peril vomits blood and saliva before Bulldog grabs him by the hair and delivers a hard left hook. The blow rocks Peril hard, nearly sending him into unconsciousness. Bulldog eases back his parasite usage, conserving his stamina. You're done for, kid. You can't defeat me. Peril crawls back to his feet, blood running down his face and dripping from his chin. Shut up and fight. The PIA agents continue their push through the hospital, Bernard and Alyssa taking lead against any opposition encountered. The agents secure valuable data in the form of files and computer hard drives. The two monster hunters begin to question their true goals as they see more and more equipment seized. This facility and everything in it should be burned, Alyssa says with disgust. Why are you packing up so much to take back with you? We were ordered by the director to retrieve any valuable information. The data we're collecting will help us to identify future potential threats, and likely save many lives, Callahan replies. I don't like it, Alyssa complains. Some knowledge should not be passed on. They near the labs where Dr. Silva has Brian Rood strapped to a table. Chemical blocking mixtures are pumped through IVs to inhibit GX parasite activity in the teen's bloodstream. As Silva hears the team approaching, he grips a handgun tightly in his lab coat and slowly sidles towards the only other door in the room. Don't move, Alyssa says, holding her sword against Silva's throat from behind. Damn, Silva worries. They have both doors covered. Callahan and the other agents enter the lab, guns drawn. Don't make any movements or you're a dead man, Callahan threatens. She pretty much has that covered, Silva whispers, glaring back at Alyssa. Who are you? Callahan asks. Are you one of the doctor's employees? He notes the man's lab coat. Lying right now would not be advised. I'm currently an associate of the doctor, but I not work for him. I'm more of a freelance man of science. My name is Victor Silva. I'm a doctor of virology and an alumnus of Harvard University. What are you doing to that kid? Ross asks. Him? Silva's eyes move over to Brian's motionless form. That boy is a rare survivor of Clavemont. I'm sure you've heard of the place. Did you have a hand in that disaster? Lachey asks, raising his gun towards Silva's face. I was merely brought in as a consultant during the final stage of the project. Khan already had his men in place to begin rounding up the citizens before my plane ever touched down. Does this boy possess the GX parasite? Callahan asks. Silva is surprised by the question. Yes, he does. This subject is actually the most successful product of the entire experiment. The remnants of Conco would kill to have his body. Why is he so special? Callahan asks. Sir, why are you entertaining anything this psycho says? Lachey asks. He admitted that he was involved in Clavemont. That makes him a wanted terrorist. This young man's body bonded with the parasite like no other has before or since. He is able to draw upon the strength of GX without losing any of himself in the process. The doctor was curious why this happened and why no other similar results have ever been duplicated, Silva explains. The doctor and Khan, what is their connection? The hospital served as a means of funneling enhanced mercenaries across the globe. Once the GX parasite was discovered, Khan and the doctor formed an alliance to create a line of perfect enhanced warriors. And this boy on the table is the accumulation of that goal? Callahan asks, deep in thought. Silva and the kid are coming with us. Sir, you can't be serious, Lachey asks, shocked. Alyssa's hand shakes, fighting the urge to kill Silva, despite Callahan's orders. You want us to take someone this dangerous as prisoner? No, Callahan says. Dr. Silva will not be our prisoner. He'll begin repaying his debt to Uncle Sam by working for us from now on. We will be the ones to unlock the mastery of the GX parasite, not fiends like Khan or the doctor. Despite their objections, the agents comply with Callahan's order and extract Brian and Silva from the hospital. Added to all the files and computer hard drives recovered, Callahan believes their mission to be a success, despite not finding the doctor himself. We need to leave the same way your team entered, Bernard says, unless you want to face the parasite-enhanced warriors that are battling up front. Could the two of you beat them if needed? Callahan asks. Alyssa pauses, gauging her abilities and strength with what she senses outside. I believe so, yet I do not like engaging in battles that I am not sure of winning. I would prefer to avoid confrontation with them if possible. Don't discount GX-enhanced warriors so easily, Silva cautions. Each manifests a unique ability that's impossible to determine at first glance. We will not try to engage if possible, Callahan says. It's time for us to leave. Silva stops, running back to one of the tables and boxing up various gadgets and supplies. What are you doing? We don't have time for that, Lachey shouts from the doorway. I recommend you bring that armor along as well, Silva says, pointing to the virtual biosuit. It would be most unfortunate for such a powerful tool to remain in the hands of such dangerous villains. They make their way back out of the hospital, finding little opposition. The few whitecoats that are encountered are easily dealt with by Alyssa and Bernard. There are still revenants hiding in other parts of the city, Alyssa says. Take your team back to safety. We will join you later after we have finished cleaning up the last of the creatures. Callahan nods. Be careful. Come on, Silva says. We don't want to be caught in those other battles. He points to several figures darting back and forth at high speeds on a rooftop nearby. Who are they? Lachey asks. More of the hospital's security? Some are, Silva says. I'm not sure who they're fighting, though. Without intel, we do not need to get involved, Callahan says. They could both be hostile factions towards us. Best if we kept low and avoided them altogether. Alyssa and Bernard break off and slip into the shadows of a nearby alley. Do you think they'll be all right? Ross asks. We don't need to worry about those two, Callahan replies. They're more than capable of handling themselves. Brian looks up, barely conscious. Sensing the energy of his allies brings him briefly back to his senses. "Leave me here," the team begs. "They need my help." "The guys fighting against the hospital are friends of yours?" Callahan asks. Brian nods. "Well, in your condition, you would just be a liability to them. Let's get you someplace to get patched up, and then you can get back out here and do what you have to." Reluctantly, Brian agrees, and the PIA agents escort him and Silva out of the area. Peril lands a hard punch across Bulldog's jaw, but the more experienced fighter absorbs the attack without any visible damage and retaliates with one of his own. Peril twists midair to dodge, but the force shockwave still manages to clip his side. The youth is flung against the passenger side of a small car, indenting the vehicle greatly. Peril moans in pain, dropping to his hands and knees. "Are you ready to admit defeat?" Bulldog asks. "I'm willing to spare your life if you just say that you give up. It would be a real shame to snuff out your incredible potential." "Shut up," Peril coughs. "I haven't lost yet." "You're too stubborn, kid," Bulldog says, shaking his head. "Sometimes you gotta know when to pack it in and live to fight another day." "I would never concede to a weak enemy like you," Peril coughs, shakily standing back up. His feet are barely able to support him in this condition. "I said I don't want to kill you, but you're going to leave me without any other choice." Bulldog swats the youth's hand aside as he attempts a weak punch. Peril nearly falls, being knocked off balance by the more experienced fighter. Grabbing him by the top of his skull, Bulldog hefts Peril into the air and throws him through the windshield of a nearby car. Peril lies amidst the broken glass in the back seat of the vehicle, barely moving. Bulldog extends a hand, focusing his energy into his open palm. A glowing light flashes around the man's hand. "Sorry, kid, but I can't waste all day on you. I have to end this fight." Storm senses his brother's essence fading, and he turns to see Bulldog preparing to finish him off. Quickly diverting away from Blaster, Storm collides with a knee to the back of Bulldog's head. Bulldog shouts out in pain and surprise, inadvertently releasing his energy blast straight up into the sky. Left one-on-one, Blaster is easily able to capitalize and snaps his fingers to explode the particles in the air around Flex's face and send her reeling back. "What the hell?" Flex shouts, holding her face in pain. "I come back to help you out and you ditch me?" Storm turns to face her, but his own distraction allows Bulldog to deliver an uppercut to his ribs. Storm doubles over in agony, gasping for breath. "Your lot is terrible at cooperation," Bulldog comments. "To be fair, this is our first team-up," Flex says. "And it will be your last, traitor," Blaster says, extending a hand and preparing to snap his fingers. "Traitor? How can I maintain loyalty to the man that killed and abducted members of my family?" The roof and sides of the car that Peril is inside of explode outward, and the youth stands, surrounded by a cyclone of violent energy. Peril's eyes are completely white, and faint scales are manifested on his face and forearms. His power has skyrocketed, Bulldog thinks with concern. He's about to move towards the young fighter, when Peril suddenly expands his energy outward, sending a psychic shockwave out and rippling up through the street in front of him. The psychic pulse slams into Bulldog, launching him into the air. Stunned, Bulldog is unable to react in time before Peril appears above him with a two-handed smash that drives him back to the ground. Bulldog hits the street and creates a deep impact crater. He lies motionless, eyes rolled back in his head. Peril drops down beside Flex and Blaster, chest heaving. Blaster moves his hand over to direct his power towards the youth, but Peril quickly grabs his wrist and breaks his arm with a single sharp twist. Blaster screams in pain as the bones of his arms protrude through his skin in a geyser of squirting blood. Without pause, Peril drives his other fist into Blaster's face, breaking his nose and jaw and sending more blood spraying outward. Blaster collapses to his back, unconscious. Peril jumps into the air, coming down full force onto the downed fighter's neck. Flex shouts out in horror as Peril mercilessly finishes off the defeated man. He was out cold. What the hell is wrong with you? He couldn't even fight back anymore. Peril glares at her but doesn't say a word. Instead, he moves towards the unconscious bulldog. Enough, Storm says, blocking Peril's path. Stop this. You've already won. There's no reason for executions. If they aren't removed now, they'll just return to cause more trouble for us in the future, Peril says. It's stupid to let them live. You're all too soft for this. Adder begins to stir and Peril turns, quickly firing a blast of energy that reduces the man into a fiery blaze. No more! Storm screams, grabbing Peril's arm. There's a difference between killing an enemy in battle and murder. What you're doing is murder. Let go of me, Peril growls, or you're next. I'm not going to let you continue down this path, Storm says. I'll stop you with force if necessary. Who the hell are you to tell me what I can and can't do? Peril asks, forcefully pulling away from Storm's grip. Don't do this, Storm urges. Or what? Peril challenges, holding a hand out towards Bulldog's body. You don't want to find out, Thomas, Storm says, sparkles of electrical discharge leaping from his body. Peril rushes forward with a punch, but Storm is able to slow him down just enough with his static field to deflect the blow with one hand and strike back at him with the other. Peril catches his fist, and the two strain against each other in a stalemate. Throwing out that name against me does nothing to help you. Whoever I was before isn't who I am now. You know that name. You instinctively knew that it belongs to you. That means that somewhere deep down you still remember that life. You still remember your mother and your father. You still remember your little sister. You still remember your older brother. Bastard! Peril growls, unable to overpower Storm. Stop trying to mess with my head. He brings his knee up into Storm's chest, forcing him to break off their entanglement and leap back in evasion. Knock it off, the both of you! Flex shouts. They both turn to see blood dripping from the young woman's lips as she is down on one knee. While you were having your little cockfight, that null guy ran over and shut down my parasite long enough to grab Bulldog, and the two of them escape. Damn you! This is all your fault! Peril shouts in anger and frustration. Stay away from me, or I promise you that I will not hesitate to kill you next time. The youth runs off to try and catch up with the escaping mercenaries. That kid has issues, Flex says, Storm helping her back to her feet. You can't blame him. He's just a child. To go through all the tortures that he went through at his age, it's left him damaged. It's hard enough for older victims like us, but he was still mentally developing when the parasite began working its way through his bloodstream. I don't particularly enjoy being called older, Flex says, shooting him a mock, dirty look. I'm only 20. Storm laughs. Sorry, I forgot you weren't the same age as me. I was pretending to be older for so long in order to infiltrate Conco, but I started to buy into my own lies. Flex shoves him lightly. There you go, calling me old again. Storm moves to follow his brother, but Flex stops him. What are you doing? We came here to save Brian, not follow Peril on his rampage. He's going to continue killing if I don't stop him. For now, that isn't our priority. In the bigger picture, we need the virtual more if we want to stop Conco's forces from ruining any more lives. Storm nods. You're right. We need to save Brian. He notices that Mr. E and Tyrell are gone. Do you know where the others went? Flex shakes her head. Your friends were already gone when I arrived. Maybe they went ahead into the hospital to look for Brian. Storm and Flex move into the hospital, but find it abandoned. All of the remaining personnel that weren't eliminated by the PIA agents have evacuated. Where the hell did they go? Storm whispers. I never saw anyone sneak past us, so they must have exited somewhere else, Flex replies. We heard combat from the other side of the building before we began fighting those mercenaries. Whoever attacked must have went out the same way. Flex finds the body of Agent Ryan in the hall. PIA, she whispers, reading the badge on his vest. Looks like some kind of government agent. I've heard of them. They're a new shadow agency that investigates weird shit like ghosts and monsters. Or alien parasitic mutations? Flex asks, raising an eyebrow. Storm nods with a laugh. I guess we're just their type of thing to investigate. So if this PIA agency was attacking the hospital, why did they fall back? It doesn't seem like there was any resistance left here. Maybe they got what they were after. I don't know. Maybe they sensed our fight and got scared. They could have taken Brian and your friends, Flex suggests. If that's the case, do we still need to worry? Sometimes the government is just as dangerous as what they're fighting. I don't feel comfortable with them having access to Brian or his blood, Storm says. Imagine the government being able to mass produce an army of parasite-enhanced warriors. Finding members of a shadow government is going to be next to impossible. It would be more useful to find out what they were after in the first place. Then we at least would have a starting point. Agreed. We need a surviving member of either the hospital staff or the PIA to interrogate. We may have to follow Peril after all. If he kills the only remaining mercenaries before we can question him, we may never find your friends, Flex says. Storm nods. Let's go before he gets too much of a head start. Jake moans. My head is killing me. Don't move, kid, the rescue worker says, lifting the last of the debris off Jake. You're pretty hurt. It's a miracle you survived the explosion. Miracles and me aren't very compatible, Jake groans, trying to stand up on his own. Take it easy. You've had a building fall down all around you. Jake looks around, his head throbbing. The teen's vision is still slightly blurred. Did anyone else survive? A few witnesses said they saw a tall man walk out of the rubble right after the building collapsed. But that just seems impossible. Damn it, Jake curses. I don't have time to lick my wounds. He could have already found Claire by now. The rescue worker shakes his head, calling for assistance. No way. You aren't going anywhere but the hospital. Jake laughs, but the action hurts his ribs. Pretty sure that this city's hospital would only cause me more problems. He pushes past the first responders, much to their dismay. He tries to clear his senses, searching for Claire or Hui's head priest. The big guy must not know how to suppress his aura, Jake thinks, locating Cruzon to the west of him with relative ease. He has more difficulty finding the weaker aura of Claire, since it's not that of a strong warrior. If that bastard is the only other person to survive the collapse, then my uncle must not have gotten past him either. Damn it! He's gonna pay for killing Uncle Gator. It isn't fair. Just when I find out he doesn't blame me for all the bad things that happened back home, he gets killed because of me. If he hadn't come and saved me, he'd still be alive. Yamura finally awakens. Where is Hui's priest? Did you locate his body? Yeah, it got up and walked away, Jake says dryly. Even dropping a building on that asshole barely left him with a scratch. I'm not sure we can beat that guy. Yamura pauses, obviously bothered. We're too damaged to engage him again. I urge you to stay clear of him for the time being. Already planned on avoiding him like the plague. I'm trying to find Claire. It would be really hard to find Claire if we went and got ourselves killed by that guy. So long as he has not located her, we still have a chance at stopping Hui. Going to her is a bad idea. We would just be leading Hui's priest right to her. We have to take that chance. If we don't get to her before that maniac does, we won't be able to do a thing to save her. We at least know what her aura feels like. We have that advantage over the priest. Yamura is hesitant. If they do indeed lead the head priest to Claire, the fight between the two of them will be unavoidable. Whatever power that man possesses is on loan from Hui. That is why I could sense Hui's energy coming from him. If I am correct, that boost is only temporary. If we can drag the fight out long enough, Hui's priest should burn through all of his borrowed strength. When that happens, we finish him off and end Hui once and for all, Jake says, making a fist. Resolve fills the teen's eyes. No one else will ever have to suffer because of that bastard again. Silver Fox operatives Kente and Welker moved through the smoke and flames of the building they were set up in, trying to get to the roof. The stairwell has collapsed and the smoke is too thick to proceed any further. I don't think Chris could have survived that explosion, Welker says. It originated on the roof, so it had to have gone on, right on top of him. RPG? Kente asks, coughing. What else could have done that much damage from such a distance? We need to regroup with the others and find whoever attacked us. Hopefully they fared better on the street finding their targets than us. Not like we knew we were going to get shot with by an RPG, like we're fucking in Iraq or something. You try to explain that to Commander Rigsby. I'm sure he'd love that excuse after we tell him we just lost one of our team because we were unprepared. Fuck, Welker sighs. We better find the rest of the team quickly in case they don't know what kind of firepower we're up against. Just then, the apartment containing Jake and Cruzon explodes. Another RPG? Hurry, Welker shouts, pushing Kente back down the stairs. We need to get to that site now. Claire huddles in fear underneath a bridge, trying to hide in the darkness. Two homeless men in rags pay her no attention, sipping out of dark bottles tucked within brown paper bags. Each sound the girl hears sends shivers throughout her body. At the sounding of footsteps, she forces herself to not audibly gasp, covering her mouth. It's just me, Jake says. I'm glad that I reached you before he did. Claire is shocked by Jake's appearance. The teen is covered in blood and dust. The way he winces as he breathes leads her to believe that he has injured ribs. What happened to you? You're hurt. We can't stay here, Jake says. He was headed this way, so he will find us eventually. You're going to need to leave town tonight and never come back here. I know some good people up north that will put you up and keep you safe. You aren't coming with me? Claire whispers, her voice full of pain. Jake shakes his head. You'll be on the run forever if I don't end this nightmare tonight. I have to kill Hui. That's the only thing that will solve both of our problems. I'm not going to leave you. It's my brother behind this. That makes it my fight as much as yours. No, absolutely not. You're going to go to Indiana and stay with my cousin Rusty. He's strong enough to protect you while I'm gone. I can't. I can't do it alone. It'll be a tough trip, but I know you can do it, Jake says. But I don't want to go anywhere without you, Claire cries. This isn't up for debate. If I don't do something to stop Hui, his men will never cease to come after us, Jake says. This is the only way to keep you safe. Too bad it will not work, the voice of the head priest bellows from behind. Neither of you will escape me again. Jake freezes in terror at the man's voice. You found us already? How? This can't be happening. The head priest grins. Blood stains on his teeth show that he is not invincible, yet Jake is still terrified of the man. You were very easy to locate. Your unique aura stood out like a shining beacon of human Sakari energy. The head priest begins to crack his neck and prepare for their battle to begin. Even keeping your aura suppressed, there was still no mistaking your energy for that of anyone else. It's all my fault, Jake thinks in panic. He wouldn't have found Claire if it wasn't for me. Claire, there's still time for you to escape, Jake whispers. Run, and I'll hold him off for as long as I can. The head priest moves like a blur, slapping Claire against one of the bridge's stone support pillars. Claire slumps to the ground out cold. Bastard! Jake screams, forgetting his fear and leaping at the head priest. Cruzon pivots, snatching the teen by the throat. You're nothing more than a gnat, Cruzon growls. Hardly worth my time killing. Jake kicks at the large hands of the man to no avail. As the teen begins to wither on Cruzon's grasp, Jake switches over to Yamura in a flash of black light, using the sudden power surge to break the head priest's grip and deliver a solid kick to the head. Cruzon is unaffected by the attack, standing perfectly still and taking the hit without moving at all. You cannot harm me, the head priest says. I am far beyond you in power and skill. I am the hand and sword of the new god of this world. Yamura surrounds his body with the black flame. You are no god. The head priest grins. Allow me to display to you the unmistakable difference between the power of a mortal and the power of a divine being. Releasing a pulse of light from his hand, Cruzon sends Yamura flailing back against a stone wall. That is not the power of a god, Yamura growls, crawling to his feet. A seal acellar marking disappears from his arm in order to heal the severe burns to his chest, suffered from the attack. That is the power of a sad little human too weak on his own, and having to rely on the power of another to fight. You are no god. You are a leech. And how is that any different from the relationship between you and your host? Are you not also too weak alone to do anything by yourself? Sparks of black flame energy dance around Yamura's aura. The boy and I work together to gain strength. That relationship is one that you or Hui will never understand. You are surprisingly soft, Yamura, Cruzon says, hitting the Sakari in the chest with more light. You are hyped up to be some threatening adversary, but you are disappointing to say the least. Yamura staggers but holds his ground. Smoke rolls off his chest as the energy continues to slam into him and melt through his flesh. The Sakari burns through his stored seal acellar powers rapidly. You are a pathetic human borrowing the power of a Sakari, but you are no Sakari, and will never be one. The howl of a dragon roars from deep within Yamura's energy, and red eyes manifest within the black flames. Cruzon is driven back as the black flames overpower its light. Impossible! You cannot compete with Lord Hui's divine strength! He pours more of his energy against Yamura's, until he begins to reach the end of Hui's lent strength. Given only a finite amount of energy from Hui, he is about to burn through the last of it. If Hui wants me dead, he will have to come and kill me himself, Yamura growls, the black flame beginning to sear Cruzon's flesh. As the flames overtake him, panic and fear flash through Cruzon Lebel's mind. Even with the borrowed power of the legendary Sakari Grand General, he still might be killed in battle by Yamura. With desperation, Cruzon draws out the last of Hui's energy and releases it with all of his remaining strength in a final push. Yamura's flames are overwhelmed by the light as his form vanishes within. The head priest drops to a knee, out of breath and sweating heavily. Severe burns scar his flesh from Yamura's fiery energy. I can't believe how hard he was able to push me. Even with Hui's power within me, I nearly lost that struggle. Yamura lies on the ground, face down and motionless. 2 seal acellar markings remain on his right arm and 1 on his left. Unknown to Cruzon, Yamura has released a marking on his chest to heal the damage caused by their energy clash. Even healed, the Sakari's stamina has not yet been recovered. From the shadows, 5 figures emerge. "That was truly a sight to behold," the doctor says. "It isn't every day you get to watch firsthand an epic clash such as that." "What do you want?" Cruzon asks with annoyance. He recognizes the man as the supplier of their failed mercenary units. "Come to try and sell us more of your worthless, defective half-breeds?" "I stand by my products," the doctor says. "But I must admit that even my creations are hardly a match for a true Sakari warrior. We've had past problems with Yamura, and I am very impressed you were able to defeat one such as him." "You sensed our battle and wanted to see who would win?" Cruzon asks, more leery of the man than before. The doctor nods. "She did. I personally am not spiritually aware enough to track specific energy signatures," he adds, pointing towards Candystripe. "More like you were hoping to scavenge the body of whoever lost our confrontation," Cruzon says with a scowl. He is careful not to agitate the doctor too much. His weakened state after battling Yamura, he's not confident that he could defeat the doctor's female bodyguard. Yamura remains sprawled out across the ground, motionless. Smoke continues to roll off his body, and his aura has ceased completely. "Do you or your master have plans for his corpse?" the doctor asks. "I can get quite a lot of use out of a fresh Sakari." Cruzon looks down at Yamura, still angry that he pushed him to utilize every bit of strength given to him by Hui. His connection to the Sakari has faded, and he now feels empty. Coming down off the power high of infused Sakari energy is worse than any drug withdrawal. "Do with him as you wish, but I ask one favor in return." "Of course," the doctor says with a smile. "I know better than anyone that nothing in this world or the next comes without a cost. I am unable to hastily return to Lord Hui and deliver that girl to him as his promised sacrifice. If you could reach him faster, I would be forever in your debt." "You're not sure that Yamura is dead, are you?" the doctor asks, studying his face carefully. "That is strong devotion. You wish to ensure Hui's plans are successful, even if you do not survive to see their fruition." He is too observant, Cruzon thinks. He probably knew this all along. "I have my concerns. When I am sure he's dead, I will bring his body to you." "Then we have an agreement," the doctor says with a smile. "No need to show me your sanctum. I remember the location from our previous business dealings." The Whitecoats collect Claire, and they depart with Candystripe and the doctor. "You can stop playing dead," Cruzon says. "If you were actually dead or unconscious, your body would have reverted to its less strange human form. Only with conscious effort can you maintain your Sakari power." He approaches with caution, lacking the strength to attack safely from a distance. Still, there is no movement by Yamura. When the head priest is finally within striking distance, Yamura springs to life, with a claw slash meant for his jugular. Cruzon defends with a forearm, but the attack is brutal and cuts him down to the bone. Yamura pivots, trying for another slash, but Cruzon kicks him in the face to push him back. "It seems that neither of us are at full strength any longer," Cruzon says. "This battle will be settled by old-fashioned means." Yamura grins, baring his fangs. "I sense no Sakari energy left within you. You are but a mere mortal man, and far over his head. Do not fool yourself. You are going to die." Cruzon lunges with a previously concealed ceremonial dagger, burying the blade deep into Yamura's shoulder, as the Sakari twists just in time to avoid a fatal stabbing. The head priest follows up with a headbutt, pulling his knife free and attempting to slash Yamura's throat open as he reels backward. Yamura kicks out, connecting with Cruzon's knee and buckling it. Cruzon stumbles and Yamura pivots, connecting with a backhand slash that tears the man open from the left side of his chest up to his ear. Cruzon's eyes widen in horror at the white-hot pain now suddenly flowing through him. Blood sprays out from the wounds, and he finds that he can no longer open his mouth to speak. This is it, Cruzon thinks in terrible realization. I have lost. I am dying. I have failed Lord Hui. I was given tremendous amounts of energy, and I was still defeated shamefully. Yamura spins on the balls of his feet to turn quickly and deliver a final blow. If I am to die, I must not allow Yamura to succeed. At all costs, he must not be allowed to reach Lord Hui and stop the ritual. Cruzon lunges forward, driving his knife into Yamura's gut as Zakari's own claws plunge into his chest. Cruzon tries to pull away, but Yamura's claws are locked into his sternum and ribcage. As Zakari spreads his fingers apart, pushing the man's ribs out of place. The head priest screams in agony and twists his knife in Yamura's gut. Yamura grins, his teeth stained with blood. I can smell your body dying, Yamura says. Your organs are already beginning to shut down. I know this stench. I have smelled it 1,000 times before. Shut up! Cruzon shouts, backhanding the Zakari and knocking him to the ground. Cruzon's knife slides out of Yamura's flesh, followed by a crimson fountain of precious blood. The head priest frantically tries to apply pressure to his own puncture wounds, but he has already lost too much blood. Yamura clutches his stomach and tries to stand, but topples over feebly. His hair and eyes revert to human, and he collapses to a single hand and knee. With his last moment of consciousness, Yamura releases a seal acelere marking on his arm to heal the stab wound to his gut. Cruzon himself drops to a knee, turning pale from blood loss and organ failure. He has healed himself, he thinks in panic. I must kill him before he is able to awaken and search for the girl. I must do this for Lord Hui. He tries to stand up again, but falls to his stomach. Damn it! It can't end like this. His vision blurs, and lifting his head from the ground becomes a chore. I just need to crawl over there and crush his skull. Surely I have the strength remaining for something so simple. That's all I have to do. Then I can close my eyes and rest. I just have to crawl a few more feet. Cruzon's fingers dig into the ground as he struggles to drag his body towards Jake. A red streak is left on the ground behind the man as his wounds continue to leak out its life. Cruzon's hand reaches Jake's ankle, and he fumbles to pull himself a little closer. No, not yet. I have to get closer. I can't fail Lord Hui. The head priest's hand shakes as he reaches to grasp Jake's shirt and pull himself several inches further. He buries his fingers in Jake's hair and pulls one last time, before losing all awareness and control of his bodily functions. This is it. This is my end. I've failed. I couldn't kill him. Lord Hui, I'm sorry. Cruzon Labelle expires, but neither Jake nor Yamura have any knowledge of their victory. It will still be several hours before they are able to awaken again. Gator opens his eyes, but sees nothing. Light or darkness would be something. This is the absence of anything. You are confused. A voice like the buzzing of a swarm of insects sounds in his ears. That is understandable. Mortal minds are as fragile as their bodies. Who are you? Gator asks, but the words do not emerge from his mouth. A string of words come all at once, and it's difficult for Gator to sift through them. Observer, witness, shepherd, watcher. A watcher? Gator recognizes hearing this word being in relation to the Yazata. Are you a Yazata? He asks. I have broken rules and interfered with the natural order. We are tasked with observation, but intervening in anything less than an extinction-level event is prohibited. We are to watch and record, but not to act unless the very existence of our pledges is threatened. I have become involved, because one of my brethren has done something far more egregious. A dark soul has been plucked from Gehenna. Only a Yazata is able to infiltrate the prisons of Dis and freely leave. Gehenna? Like hell? What does this have to do with me? Am I dead? You would be, should be. The sword of the Sakari Hui has struck you down. Gator recalls the bright light emitted from the stranger's hand just before waking up in this void. Your nephew and the Sakari Yamura have dealt with him. Do not be troubled with revenge. Hui too shall be their burden, not yours. You must set your eyes upon a different path. Jake? He beat that guy that got the jump on us already? How long have I been out? It was like I just blinked and woke up here. I have taken you outside of time in order to preserve your life. All events in the mortal realm for you have now both happened and are yet to occur. My team, did any of them survive? Some. You will return to them soon and leave this city. Do not interact with your nephew. His path must not be influenced. In order to do what must be done, he must believe that Hui's sword has killed you. He must decide what comes next on his own after that. Jake Stewart's fate is one that he must determine himself. Those whose eyes gaze upon the strands of fate, the Morai, have witnessed two different paths. It is unclear upon which path Jake shall tread. Where am I supposed to go? We had a mission to take down the Doctor and eliminate the hostile elements within this city. The Doctor, too, shall be dealt with all too soon. Your destiny is instead bound to the Yazata. Within your blood sleeps the power of great warriors. You're the only human alive today that has faced a Yazata in combat and emerged victorious. You killed the Grigori Benahil, and now possess his blade, Cascavel. Cascavel is one of the most powerful weapons your species now owns. His blade? You mean that sword I took from that rogue angel's body? How is a sword that powerful? I'd rather have a gun at my hip than a pig sticker in my hand. You do not know how to properly wield a Yazatan sword. You must learn. With Cascavel, you will be able to face a much stronger Yazata than Benahil. So that's it? That's the hook? You want me to kill another angel? Yes, 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 yes. The voice echoes and whispers. Only you. You must kill the Grigori who violated the laws of life and death. You must punish him for releasing Inyana's soul from the depths of Gehenna. Inyana, the Sakari that possessed my sister-in-law and destroyed Totikahachi, she's alive again? Do not worry about her. She and Yamura shall soon reunite and set things back into balance. It is the fates of other beings that the Morai cannot observe, those of divine beings. The only future that has been set for the Grigori Gadriel involves you. If your paths must cross, you have to be the one who slays him. That's an awfully large stretch there. What if this Gadriel is supposed to kill me? We have faith that you will succeed. There are many strands of fate lying before you. that extend far past your encounter with Gadriel. You are a descendant of Enkidu Hyalura, a great hero. Enkidu was once my student. I trained him when my kind were still permitted regular interaction with humanity. His blood contained the legacy of the Yazata. Your blood carries within it that same divine spark. To defeat Gadriel, you must become a student of your heritage, and light the inner flame of the Sarai. You must find that spark and draw it to the surface. Only then will you be able to unlock the full potential of Cascavel. I don't understand half of what you're saying. It sounds like you're just whispering riddles into my head. Focus on Cascavel. Listen to it. The blade shall speak to you when you are ready. You are its new master. Listen to your heart and bind it to your sword. Only then will you be ready to face Gadriel. I will contact you again when you have prepared. Before Gator can say anything else, he finds himself in the rubble of the collapsed apartment building. Royce, Gator coughs. Pierce, Kente, Bradshaw, Hale, he calls out for his comrades. Is anyone still alive? He's over here, Royce shouts. The commander survived. Royce and Pierce run over to Gator's side and help him move several large slabs of concrete away from him so that he can stand. It's great to see you among the living, boss. We thought you were gone. What about the others? Gator asks, fearing their response. Pierce shakes his head. We could only find parts of Hale. He pauses before continuing. Bradshaw's neck was broken. His head was completely twisted around. What the hell did you guys run into? I'm not sure, Gator admits. It was called the Sword of the Sakari Hui, whatever that means. Well, you're lucky as hell to be alive. The entire building collapsed on you, and that sword guy was the only one to get up and walk away like nothing happened. Did anyone go after him? Royce is surprised. Are you kidding me? I just said an entire building fell on him and he got up and walked away like it was nothing. What could we possibly do against something like that? Gator sighs. I guess you're right. If they had pursued the head priest, they'd have been killed effortlessly. Gather up everything you can. We've lost this battle. We're heading back to base to lick our wounds and regroup. Sir? Royce is shocked at Gator's admission of defeat. We need a better strategy. We just lost 2 members of our team to a foe we have next to no info on. He nearly took us all out without breaking a sweat. If we go after him half-cocked, we won't be lucky to survive a second time. The agents help Gator to his feet and they leave cleanup of the area to the firefighters and first responders. Gator thinks of his nephew Jake and worries about his safety. I know that Watcher Angel said you already dealt with that Sword of Hui guy. But that's just so hard to believe. Are you really that strong now that you can face monsters like that and prevail? I guess I need to trust in you to take care of the Sakari, like the Watcher said. Good luck, kid. I'll do my part. You do yours. We'll meet up again one day, when all this madness is over. You and Derek can make some chili. I'll rent WrestleMania. We can put all the Sakari and Angels behind us. Hang in there, kid. Don't get yourself killed.